And he said that she should be grateful with him because she had allowed her the possibility to come and work here in the UK. He also started to, she was a 50+ woman, so he started to call her all women and to say things about her body and abuse her in in different ways, and to say that she could not satisfy his sexual needs. So, she continued, she was working, cleaning, and she was working, cooking, cleaning, and all the things that she called being a good wife, in her own words. And at that point, she started realizing that things were not working out, and she was scared about her life. And she started to feel that she was becoming a slave. And this is the point where she approached LAWRS, and again, we helped her out to find safe accommodation and to sort out her situation. And now she currently works as a domestic worker, and she's still here in the UK. So, I mean, as you can see with both cases, they are a quite good illustration of some of the issues that we talked about this morning. I just want to finish by saying some of the ideas that I have got strongly from today. And that also are illustrated by my examples and by the work that we do at LAWRS. One is the complexity of this issue and the fact that categories overlap. So when we're talking about migration, exploitation, prostitution, and trafficking, these are categories that overlap. And in reality, I think Julia said this, abuse runs along a continuum. And this is a very important point. There is also a correlation between trafficking, vulnerability, and very restrictive migration policies. We know that there is a problem with legislation and a very narrow definition of anti-trafficking and of trafficking. Also, women are often represented as passive objects when the reality is not like that. And I illustrate that with my two cases. Women can be active economic migrants, and often are. There are plenty of stereotypes that don't respond to the reality in terms of trafficking and the way women are portrayed. And women don't necessarily see themselves as victims. So these were the kind of main points that I got from the conference, and I think are quite well illustrated by this work and by the case studies. I don't know if there are questions.
Are you able to offer women besides domestic help? In terms of immigrants, economic immigrants who come and who are often educated themselves, what options are there?
I think that the question is actually we did a lot of stereotypes about Latin American migrant women. Most of Latin American migrant women are employed in cleaning industry and in catering industry. But the reason why they are employed in this industry is because they cannot find another job. Actually, according to a research that we just published, Latin American migrant women are more educated than the average. So the problem is no lack of education. The problem is that they come to a country where they cannot access opportunities. Yeah. Okay, so this is, again, there is the second strand of our work is what we call for women to develop their potential. So we provide access to support in employment, so how to access employment, and we also provide placements and volunteering opportunities, and we provide also mentoring opportunities, and we have a quite high success rate. I actually just reported to a donor last week. We have a 70% success rate. So this is what we call early intervention. So this is to avoid women entering into this cycle of going into these low-paid, low-skilled jobs when they are actually very skilled. And we have several examples of that. I mean, one of those was a woman that she developed a mentoring relationship with somebody working in the Financial Times, and she actually ended up there herself. And this is only an example, but there are many. I think the problem is that women come here and they don't know what sort of information to access or where to go, and I think that's why these early intervention programs are so important. in terms of women involved in prostitution, it has been a challenge to get them to come and volunteer. But we have had a couple of people asking about it, and we are trying to develop this much further.
I think the work that you're doing is fantastic, and I'm really, really pleased to hear more about it. I can't remember how I came across your website. I'm from Scotland, and there are much fewer Latin American women, or population of Latinos in Scotland, and obviously there's nothing dedicated to them. And I met a Colombian woman with 3 children when I was in Edinburgh, and I couldn't help her. I didn't know where to send her, and it wasn't until afterwards that I found out. So I wondered what we could do to, in a sort of outreach sense, get your work into Scotland somehow, perhaps, if I can help you do that, or...
Yeah. I think this will be very interesting to explore, because part of our strategic plan is actually develop our services are all across the UK, but in reality we provide them most around London and in areas surrounding London, just because of capacity and resources. But this is something we want to do, so it will be great to speak.
My name is Beatrice Colbon. I'm sorry, I don't have much voice today. I'm a human rights French lawyer, requalified here. And when you talk about human trafficking, I naturally think of the human traffickers. And I wonder if you have any sort of action leading to prosecuting these people. Are they, first of all, UK-based? Are there connections with the South American human traffickers? Are you involved in all these things and all the judiciary side of the problem?
We are mainly involved with the part of supporting the victims of trafficking, and with regards to knowing exactly how this works. As I say, one of the biggest problems is that there is not enough knowledge about Latin American women and how to identify how these networks work. I know some recent research about trafficking from the Andean to European countries, from the Andean region to European countries. But other than that, there is not much more that is specifically, and there is nothing specifically on who is doing this or what are the sort of groups and all of that. And we are involved on the other side, on the side of the victims of trafficking.
I was just wondering, do you get many people come for support because they're being exploited in other industries? And what are those industries and what type of exploitation?
We get a lot of people who have been, labor exploitation is a huge issue for the Latin American community. It appeared, as a result of the research, it appeared to be one of the most serious concerns and one of the biggest needs to access support on this. What are the industries? Catering, cleaning, domestic work. Why? Because as I answered that question before, a large percentage of Latin American people end up involved in those industries because they can secure work in other industries. And in terms of the cleaning industry, is very serious, because what happens is that women get themselves enrolled with agencies that could be owned by Latin Americans or by people from other parts. They don't know the system, they don't care about not getting the minimum wage, or what they care is to have more money to send home. And they end up being very exploited. And we even had a case where the building of the town hall, the City of London, there was a group of Latin American, a Latin American organization and a manifestation outside there, because people working in that building were subjected to exploitation. But the exploiters were not the people from the town hall. It was agencies working for them. And this is only one case of many. I can give you lots of cases. So one of our main areas, strategic areas right now, is to develop work on raising awareness about employment, about labor rights, so that women can advocate for themselves, raising awareness about unionization and the importance of this, but also targeting specific groups. And there is an organization, a Latin American organization, that works on naming and shaming the exploiters, and it has been quite successful. And domestic work is another area where it does happen quite a lot, and there have been even some embassies and consulates that have not had the best practices, to call it that way, in that.